So earlier today, it was just announced that Alexandre Pantoja is going to be defending his belt against Steve Erceg, and for some reason, this has MMA fans in an absolute frenzy. And I did want to talk about it in this video because I actually think that the fight makes a lot of sense when you give the context of the state of the flyweight division right now, because Alexandre Pantoja has already beaten a lot of the big contenders in the weight class, and I feel like the top comment on the post from ESPN MMA kind of just it just shows how little MMA fans really pay attention to the UFC. Who is this? Should have been Moreno. Brandon Moreno, the same guy that's lost to Alexandre Pantoja 3 times, and also the same guy that just lost to Brandon Royval a month ago in a main event. Dude, MMA fans are so unserious, dude. But here's the thing, I am going to defend this fight, because I do think it makes a lot of sense. I really do, especially when you look at the rankings. You go to the UFC rankings, you see Pantoja at the top at flyweight. He's beaten Royval twice. He's beaten Moreno 3 times. He hasn't fought Albazi, but Albazi is out with an injury right now. Kai Kara-France is out with a concussion, and he just lost to Albazi, even though a lot of people think he could have won. He hasn't fought Nicolau to my knowledge, but Nicolau's going to be fighting Karp. And Nicolau's coming off a loss as well. Karp missed weight in his last fight against Nicolau, so you can't just reward him with a title shot with that. And he's also lost to Pantoja in the past. Mikhaev hasn't fought yet, which I will bring up. He's beaten Perez, he hasn't fought Elliott, he hasn't fought Erceg. And then aside from that, I feel like you probably couldn't go much deeper than that when you're giving title shots. But they've gone all the way down to 10 with Steve Erceg. And I do think that the fight makes sense, because if you do think about it, giving Muhammad Mikhaev the title shot is definitely a logical move that they could have done. But I think that it would have been pushing him a little bit too early, and Ramadan just started. So you would not only be pushing Mikhaev into a title shot, which I feel like, personally, I don't think Mikhaev would be ready for it. I do think that Pantoja would beat him, but you would also be giving Mikhaev a bit of a disservice, because he's going to have to go through the month of Ramadan, and then try and fight Pantoja just a few weeks after Ramadan is completed. I think that you would be getting a depleted Mikhaev. You wouldn't be getting Mikhaev at his full form, and once again, I do want to see Mikhaev fight one more time. You know, I just think Mikhaev throwing him in there with the deep end wouldn't be the best thing for him right now. He's undefeated, he's popular, he's got a lot of hype, and I do think Pantoja would beat Mikhaev relatively easily. Whereas Erceg, I think Erceg is a tougher fight for Pantoja than Mikhaev is. I really do. I look at Steven Erceg here. He is 3-0 in the UFC, so it's given him an opportunity very early on, but he beat Dvorak on very short notice. He beat Alessandro Costa, who took him on short notice, and I think that's actually a fight that we can draw a lot of comparisons to when we talk about Pantoja in the fight. And then he just beat Matt Schnell, knocked him out in the second round. Yes, giving someone a title shot off a win over Matt Schnell probably isn't the best thing to do, but I think it makes sense. You know, UFC 301, it needed a main event, it needed Pantoja on the card. This is Pantoja's home city, if I am not mistaken. And they didn't really have any other options unless Alex Pereira was going to be there, but he's headlining 300. So they've gone with this. I've got a feeling this might be one of those pay-per-views or numbered events that's actually a free card, because they've done that in the past. I believe the Glover Teixeira versus Jamal Hill card was a free card to watch, even though it was a numbered event. I think they might do that again, because this card isn't actually really looking that strong. But I did want to address a lot of things that people are saying in the comments. I mean, this is crazy, dude. The comments that people are saying is nuts. This fight makes so much sense. A lot of people are saying, why not Kai Kara-France? He's coming off a loss to Albazi, and he's injured with a concussion. Amir Albazi is injured, and also I believe is about to start observing Ramadan himself. And then also you got Muhammad Mikhaev, who I think would be a little bit too early to throw in there. Karp is fighting Nicolau. He just missed weight. Nicolau's coming off a loss to Royval. So I guess the person that's really getting screwed out of all of this is probably mostly Brandon Royval, who just beat Brandon Moreno. Brandon Moreno is a guy that has been the champion in the past. He's been a guy that's been at the top of the division for quite a while now, it seems, especially with his like 4 or 5 fights he did with Figueiredo or something like that. I feel like Brandon Moreno, a win over Moreno definitely should give you a title shot, but the problem is Alexandre Pantoja's last fight was Brandon Royval, and it wasn't a good fight. You know, is it a fight that we want to see again? I would say probably not, to be honest with you. And he's just beat Brandon Royval in 2021 as well, so it would be like fighting Brandon Royval 3 times within 3 years. I understand why they've gone with a fresh opponent. They haven't... He just fought Karp in 2021 as well, so yeah, it makes sense that they're going to give him someone different. After this, they're probably going to give him Mohamed Makayev, I would assume, because I am going to pick him to beat Steve Erceg. But if you do want a little bit of a breakdown for this matchup, I'm a big fan of Pantoja. I picked Pantoja to beat Royval. I picked him to beat Moreno as well. I genuinely believe that Pantoja won 3 rounds against Moreno. I don't understand how you can give Moreno 3 rounds in that fight. When I first watched the fight, I thought Pantoja won it 4-1. I watched it again on replay. Pantoja won 3 rounds against Moreno. Absolutely won 3 rounds against Moreno. And then he beat Royval. Both fights were okay. The Moreno fight was fun. The Royval fight, not so much. But Pantoja's a very fun fighter. Like, if you watch any of his other fights, man, he's good. He's good. He's so fun. But I look at Steve Erceg and I think, you know what? Maybe Steve Erceg could capitalize on Pantoja's striking, because Pantoja, although at flyweight and the champion, is not the most technical striker at all. He's powerful, but I wouldn't say he's actually a very good technical striker when it comes down to it. So maybe Steve Erceg could use his striking to his advantage. Erceg is a guy that I would never have considered to have KO power, but someone did tell me, I think it was Benny P, told me that Steve Erceg has very sneaky power, and we saw that against Matt Schnell. Didn't even look like he landed with 100%, didn't look like he threw 125% or so into the shot. He just KO'd Matt Schnell with a perfect timed punch. But Steve Erceg is a grappler for the most part. I don't see Erceg being able to beat Pantoja in the grappling though. Pantoja, if I'm not mistaken, is a world champion in BJJ in the past. He's at least a Brazilian national champion in BJJ. And I think that he will be able to out-grapple Steve Erceg. And that's where Erceg is best, is in the grappling. And I think Pantoja would be the better grappler out of those two. But once again, I go to the Alessandro Costa fight here. And Alessandro Costa, I would say, almost has a similar sort of striking style to Pantoja, where he is a very aggressive boxer, but he's not that technical. And Costa gave Erceg problems in that fight. Once again, though, Costa gave Amir Albazi problems in the first round of his fight, and he took that on short notice. So Costa is a good fighter, and he's a guy to keep an eye out for. But Erceg did struggle with the power of Costa on the feet a little bit, and I feel like Pantoja will be able to pressure Erceg and then get the takedowns based on that striking. So I'm going to pick Pantoja to win the fight. I think a lot of people are. I'm seeing a lot of people saying that Steve Erceg's going to win, and if he does win, it will be perfect for the UFC. Do you want to know why? UFC 305 is rumoured, if not confirmed, to be in Australia, in Perth. Steve Erceg is from Perth. Yes, he is. He's from Perth. So Erceg, if he beats Alexandre Pantoja, he could do his first title defense in Perth at UFC 305. It would actually be perfect. So that's another reason why I think that they've gone with this matchup. Not just because, Pantoja might be able to get a good defense here. It's going to keep him active. He's going to get a headliner Brazil card. It's also, if Steve Erceg wins the fight, now we have a big name fight for UFC 305 as well. If something falls out with maybe Adesanya fighting there. I don't know what they're going to do with that Perth card, actually. They actually might have to do an Erceg main event if he wins. But anyway, the point is, that's what I think, man. I think that Erceg, if he wins, he's going to headline UFC 305. Maybe something like that. But I do think Pantoja beats Erceg, man. I think this is just, once again, though, could be an opportunity for Erceg to make something massive happen, because we have seen fighters in the past that haven't really beaten the best fighters in the world go out there and really prove themselves against top-level competition. This is going to be a bit of a reach of a comparison, but I think about Islam Makhachev a little bit when I come to this, because when he fought Charles Oliveira, he had beaten, I think, nobody in the top 10. To my knowledge, he beat Dan Hooker and Bobby Green. I think he got the title shot off a win over Bobby Green when he fought Charles Oliveira. And it was kind of one of those, like, Erceg, he's looking good against these guys, and maybe he actually is UFC World Champion level. You know, maybe some of these guys that he's gone to war with in the past, Cody Haddon, I believe, had a very competitive fight with him in 2021. Maybe Cody Haddon is a really good fighter as well. And maybe Cody Haddon is a UFC top 15 level bantamweight that we don't even know about yet. Hey, I mean, I know about Cody Haddon, obviously, but I think he's going to be on the Contender Series. Anyway, it's a guy to keep your eye out for. Let me know what you think in the comments below about the fight. I'm seeing a lot of negativity around this. I don't understand why. I think it makes a lot of sense. Logically, it's a good fight as well. It is a good fight. Do I think it's a 301 main event? Not really, because this is not a strong card, but I brought that up at the start of the video. I like the fight. It makes sense. Give it context, and it makes sense. Brandon Moreno does not get another title shot, dude. This is crazy. It should have been Moreno, the same guy that lost to Royval like a month ago. This is nuts. This is absolutely insane. Dude, MMA fans might be the most unserious fans out of any sport I've ever seen. This is just absolutely ridiculous. I'll see you guys in the next one.